Today, we're going to get into something really fascinating. The psychology behind why some of us absolutely love being in a huge crowd, while for others, it feels, well, totally overwhelming. It's a feeling a lot of us have, but we don't always understand why.
You know that feeling, right? You're at a concert, maybe a packed street festival, and suddenly your energy just nosedives. You look around, everyone else seems to be having the time of their lives, and you're just thinking, is there something wrong with me?
Well, here's the good news. You are so not alone. There's a really deep and honestly pretty cool psychological reason for that feeling, and we are about to break it all down.
Okay, so first things first, let's talk about the brain. For a lot of people, not liking crowds isn't really an emotional thing, it's neurological. It's all about your brain being forced to process way too much information all at once.
Psychologists have a term for this: high sensory sensitivity. And I want you to notice that word trait. This is not a weakness, it's not a disorder. It simply means your brain is wired to take in all the sensory details around you more deeply and intensely than the average person's brain does.
So what does that overload actually feel like? Well, your brain isn't just hearing some background chatter. It's trying to process dozens of individual conversations simultaneously. You're not just seeing people, you're taking in a whole sea of different facial expressions, tracking unpredictable movements, all while being bombarded by lights and colors. I mean, no wonder it's exhausting. But hold on, it's not just about your brain's wiring. Our core personality, who we are deep down, plays a massive role in how we deal with all that social energy. A lot of it comes down to a simple question. Where do you get your energy from? Think of it like a battery. For an extrovert, being in a crowd is like plugging into a power source. It charges them up. But for an introvert, that very same situation is like running 10 apps at once. It just drains the battery fast. And the only way to recharge is to find some quiet. And this is such a critical point. For an introvert, skipping a huge party isn't about avoiding people. It's about avoiding shallow interactions. They would much rather have one deep, real conversation than 100 little bits of small talk.
And it's not only about introversion either. Other traits play a part. If you're super self-aware or emotionally sensitive, you're basically a sponge for the feelings of everyone around you, which is a lot in a crowd. And if you're a deep thinker, your mind just goes into overdrive trying to analyze everything. It's a whole cocktail of things, really.
Now this brings us to one of the biggest myths out there, a label that gets thrown around way too easily and frankly, unfairly. It's the question so many of us have asked ourselves. If I'd rather stay home with a good book than go to a giant party, does that mean I'm antisocial?
Let me just say this loud and clear. No. Absolutely 100% not. The idea that this makes you antisocial is a total myth, and it's about time we all stopped believing it.
See, choosing quiet isn't about avoiding social connection. It's about seeking a different kind of connection. It's about wanting quality over quantity. It's about searching for conversations that actually mean something and forming bonds that are genuine.
So, we've busted the myth. But now, let's take it one step further. What if we reframe this whole thing? What if we look at the incredible strengths, the hidden superpowers that often go hand in hand with this?
Because that thing you might think of as a sensitivity, or even a flaw, is very often the source of some really powerful and unique abilities.
Think about it. When you're not constantly being bombarded by outside noise, you have so much more mental space to think, to reflect. That often leads to incredible creativity. You become highly observant. You notice the little details that other people just walk right past. And you tend to become more emotionally aware, more perceptive, and develop a real knack for understanding people. This just makes sense when you look at the real world, right? Some of the greatest writers, artists, and innovators in history, they needed that solitude to create. Their preference for quiet wasn't a bug, it was a feature. It was the very thing that allowed their genius to flourish.
So, if you take away just one thing from all of this, let it be this. There is nothing wrong with you. Not liking crowds is not some kind of social flaw. It's a sign that your mind is wired for depth, for meaning, and for real experiences over just constant noise.
And I'll leave you with this last thought to chew on. We always tend to focus on the center of the crowd, on the loudest voices, don't we? But what if the people standing quietly on the edges, the ones who are watching, listening, and processing it all so deeply, what if they're the ones who actually see the world most clearly?